Ladybugs and Yellow Jackets. So welcome to Friday's Author Reads here on Fae Productions. I am your host, Fairy Princess Lolly, and I am here with my cat, who definitely thinks that that is actually a cat pad and not a keyboard. And also with author Danielle Ackley-McPhail. Say hello, Danielle. Danielle.
Hello.
I'm saying your name so fast, it sounds like Daniel. So slow, Danielle. Okay, I know that you're not a Daniel. For those of you joining us now, watching from home, I just want to put in real quick. Please click the like and subscribe and share buttons, if you will. Ring the bell if you want to get notifications, and always feel free to interact and talk in the comments, etc., etc. I am watching those to the best of my ability. So now that I have said that beginning thing out of the way, Danielle, what type of books do you write?
Whatever I want. Mostly it's fantasy, science fiction, steampunk, military science fiction. Occasionally a little bit of horror slips in there, but it's never intentional.
Oh, I don't know. If you're writing about fairies, it seems like there has to be a little bit of scary in there if you're going to be anything like true to classic history and folklore.
Yeah. Most of my fantasy is dark, but my horror is horrific.
But your horror is horrific. So what age range approximately are your books aimed at, or does that vary?
I don't aim for a particular age group. They could be generally, like if I'm addressing a fan or something like that at a show, my gauge is 13 and up, as long as they have a decent reading level.
Okay. So how many books have you written? Do you know? You're like, I have no idea. I just have an enormous shelf and it's just filled. I've long lost track.
No. I only have 2 shelves, and a lot of them are short fiction. So, 1 second. Sorry about that.
That's okay. Your sound went wonky.
Ooh.
I mean, I can hear you still, but you sound further away somehow.
Yeah,
I don't know what happened.
I had an incoming call that I had to ignore.
Ah, yes. Sometimes that will do a weird thing.
Let me see. Sorry, folks.
But we can still hear you, so it's okay.
Okay. I'll just sit closer.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm just imagining you being that close and trying to read.
So back to the question.
Yes, back to the question.
I have 6 novels and I have 4 short story collections, a nonfiction guide, and a cookbook.
A nonfiction, 6 novels, 4 short story collections, a nonfiction guide, and a cookbook.
Correct.
Okay. So what kind of a cookbook is it?
Ginger, of course.
And what is the nonfiction guide about?
It's a writer's guide.
Okay.
It's not a how-to, it's a how to improve.
It's a how to improve. And so you also now, you publish your books at eSpec Books. And they're not just your books that are there, because it's a small publishing company, right?
Yeah, there's a long story behind that. I used to be published by a variety of small press publishers, and unfortunately, each of them self-destructed in one manner or another.
Oh no.
And when you have that many books, it's really hard to find homes for them, especially when they've already been published. So eSpec Books existed before I started publishing my own work. So my work is published under the paper Phoenix Press imprint. And it's just my backlist that I'm bringing back out rather than trying to find new homes for them.
Gotcha. So today you have brought with you, of course, one of your books that you are going to be reading an excerpt from for us. Can you tell us a little bit about the book and what you are going to launch in to read here very shortly?
Yes. We did an anthology called Gaslight and Grim, Steampunk Fairy Tales. And this novel was originally supposed to be one of the stories in that collection. But fairy tales were an oral tradition. And when you tell a story, it is much different when you show a story. So we took what was a relatively short story and tried to, translate that into steampunk, and it ended up to be 17,000 words. So it became a novel. And
wow, I was going to say that is much longer than an anthology short story, I would think.
Yeah. It's much longer than that now. It's a steampunk retelling of Ali Baba and the 40 Thieves.
That sounds actually really cool.
It was a lot of fun.
So this story that originally started in an anthology took a life of its own and became a novel. And today you are going to read from that novel for us.
Yes.
Oh, well, do you have it with you? Can we see what it looks like? Will you show it to the camera?
I forgot to grab a copy before I sat down.
Oh, no.
I'm sorry.
Okay. That is okay. I shall let you go ahead and read the bit. And then after that, we can actually take a look at your website. And it's on your website, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so we can take a look at your website and we will be able to see it there. That's okay. So I will turn the camera over to you and you may begin the read.
Thank you. So I'm going to start out by explaining that this is a little bit into the book, and it is right as Ali has discovered the treasure cave. And this is where he goes in. The moon lit his way as he scurried down to the oasis. His first instinct was to fill his goatskin and flee back towards Wadi al-Nedj before the night grew any older. But as he knelt beside the pool, he could not control his gaze. At first, it merely darted toward the dune and back again. His eyes locked upon the slope a while longer, his mind furiously working on the puzzle of how the dune hid a cavern. He longed to go in, to explore, to know for once and certain that this was the place he sought. The next he knew, Ali stood where the lead thief's footprints still shaped the sand, between the rock outcropping and the arda bush with a twisted trunk, his hand toying with one of the robust red blossoms from the branch in his hands as his teeth worried his lower lip. He should not do it. Allah knew he should not do it. Open sesame. The words were but a whisper across his lips, barely spoken before the sands again separated to reveal the rock outcrop. His eyes widened as next the stone facing slowly slid beneath the desert. Ali forgot once more to breathe. He had not believed it would work. He had been sure the sun had baked his brain. But there it was, the secret cavern, spilling its steady light upon the oasis. The blossom snapped off in Ali's tightened grip. He barely noticed as he crept into the cave. As he passed the entrance, he noted 2 divots in the chamber floor that mirrored where he stood outside. Ali stopped and turned toward the oasis. It would be best not to betray his presence. Close, sesame, he murmured, recalling the leader's words, hoping they would work from the inside. And the earth swallowed Ali whole. His first impulse was to pound upon the rock, to order it to open once more. Instead, He turned and allowed his gaze to sweep the cavern. He could see no sign of the guardians his father's letter had warned about. Perhaps they had been released by his grandfather's passing, for they were not here. Still, Ali's hand crept down to rest upon his satchel, which contained the puzzle box, the travel diary, and his father's letter. Reassured, he took in the wonders of the cave. The first thing he noticed were the camelids, standing in ranks against the far wall, their curved brass flanks dully gleaming. He gasped as he realized these were the ships of the desert mentioned in his grandfather's diary. The ache to explore their inner workings was so strong, it was almost physical. Knowing he could not, Ali dragged his gaze away to examine the rest of the treasures. What he saw dazzled his eyes. Without a doubt, this was Nader Shah's treasure. A jewel-encrusted platform stood in the center of the cavern. 12 pillars, each capped by 2 peacocks with fanned tails, supported a canopy, the underside of which was covered in rubies and diamonds, emeralds and pearls. The whole of it rested on 4 gold feet. Ali shivered in awe at the splendor alone. He had heard of the fabled peacock throne, but it had not occurred to him that it would be the centerpiece of his family's sacred charge. Closest to the platform rested elegant urns filled with chalices and gold platters, some plain, others likewise encrusted with gems. Stacked around these were chests made of precious metals and rare wood. Ali marveled at the finely carved cinnabar and ivory that filled them. Part of him had scarcely believed he would find the treasure of Nader Shah hidden in the heart of the Ruba Kali. It was evident that part of him had been wrong. On the fringes of the Shah's treasure, the thieves had piled canvas sacks and ceramic jars, brimming with more pedestrian blessings. Common day coins and costly spices, aromatic perfumes and sparkling jewels, bolts of silk and casks of fine tea. There, shoved to the sides, blanketed in dust, he spied bundles of glass, copper, and brass piping that set his artificer's heart tripping. The things Ali could make with such supplies. He closed his eyes and turned from the sight, lest avarice take root in his soul. If he was meant for such wealth, Allah would provide. In the corner, beyond the camelids, Ali noticed a workbench, the likes of which he'd only seen in his dreams. This, more than even the Shah's treasure, let him know that he had found the secret place his father had been searching for. Charcoal sketches similar to those in Al-Jazari's book were pinned to a board that leaned against the cavern wall, their black marks softened by a thick layer of dust. Half-finished inventions resembling sketches from his grandfather's diary gathered dust on the work surface. He sighed, knowing he dare touch nothing, lest he betray himself in some way to the thieves. His fingers hovered above delicate tools and sturdy spanners his meager coin could never afford. Even these were coated in fine dust and sand, as if long without use, though surely the camelids required maintenance. Glancing more closely, Ali could discern initials engraved on the handles. Were these his grandfather's tools? They looked to have been well used at one time, but obviously that time was long past. With all his heart, he vowed to reclaim his family's legacy. Beside the workbench stood a vat of oil and 2 barrels, one filled with copper gears, the other black tar for fuel. Beyond that, in the shadows, someone had piled a junk heap of scrap metal and defunct parts next to which stood one of the camelids, its body darkened by smoke residue along one side, and the torso open on its hinges. He peered within and noticed a bent cog had twisted one of the shafts. A simple enough thing to fix, and yet it was clear by the coating of dust on the camelid's back that the thieves had neither interest nor skill for such things. Ali resisted the urge to make the repair himself, instead examining the mechanism with a careful eye. Even damage, the inner workings of the construct enthralled him. The design was similar to some he had seen at Ustad Babbage's side, but this was more elegant, as much art as engineering. Inside, a compact copper boiler connected to narrow pipes that led from the tank to an intricate assembly of gears, rods, and pistons, 2 to each side, corresponding to where the legs attached. Another rose through the aperture where the construct's neck connected to the body. He could not identify what direction the locomotion, but what he did see gave him some interesting ideas of how the smooth, leak-spanning stride of the camel's walk was achieved. Ali avidly studied the design, storing the knowledge for future use, assuming he ever had enough coin to do more than dream of crafting such complex engineering. Since Qasim had ordered Ali's return to Wali al-Nej, there had been little opportunity or coin for true invention, only the tinkering that supplemented his dwindling reserve. Sighing, he turned away from the workbench, lest he be tempted to touch. Oh, what Ali would give to linger in this place for the rest of his days, creating magnificent constructs. But no, he had already lingered too long. Even now his shoulders tightened, and he caught himself darting glances around the room. It was as if eyes were upon him, causing the skin around his back to crawl. Ali turned to examine the cavern in its entirety, rather than just the riches it held. He spied no one, but for the first time he took note of the cave itself, marveling at the workmanship. This was no natural cavern, but had been crafted by human hands. He could almost make out tool marks, likely for some rock-boring construct. The walls were only partially visible for the lattice of steam pipes crisscrossing overhead and down to the floor. Most of them were copper, but intermixed were glass tubes emitting a soft yellow light from no source Ali understood. Those pipes framing the entrance to the cavern were all glass, thick and gleaming with brass fittings. To either side of them, Ali saw a complex assembly of great-toothed gears in a variety of sizes, interlocked and showing signs of wear. They appeared to operate a pulley system as a massive metallic cable ran up the ceiling and down into the ground. He recognized elements of the design from the book of knowledge of ingenious mechanical devices. He would have examined these workings more closely as well, only a sudden movement distracted him. Inside those pipes by the entrance swirled lavender mist too delicate to be mistaken for steam. For a brief instant, Ali would have sworn there was a flutter, as of eyes blinking. Surely he was mistaken, and yet the sensation of being watched increased. Trying to ignore it, Ali continued wandering. Repeatedly he had to remind himself not to touch each new thing he discovered. He told himself he was blessed just to be here, in the secret place his grandfather had created and his father had long sought. It was enough to feel surrounded by their spirits, to see such glorious things, to smell the fragrance of the spices and costly perfumes that sweeten the chamber. Almost Ali believed the lie. Thinking of the thieves, he fought the urge to lash out. This was his family's responsibility, his family's charge, his family's treasure to guard. That last bore remembering. These riches were not his, and never would be. But he could not help but wish, just once, to hold such wealth in his hands. to know, however briefly, what it felt like to be a rich man. No, no good comes of such thoughts. Ali sighed. The sound echoed in the chamber until he nearly overlooked the softer sigh that followed his own. And then the light brightened, and Ali stiffened as a woman's voice filled the cavern. "What have you in your hand, child of Adam?" The voice was like the crackle of a fire, darker notes beneath light. Ali spun. He saw no one. "What have you in your hand?" the voice repeated. Sweeter than a nightingale, the surging power in that voice sent Ali to his knees, fervent supplication to Allah on his lips, though he had no breath to utter them. His gaze fell upon the glass pipes by the entrance, where the roiling mist had taken on a darker, violet hue. "Tell me!" All sweetness and light fled both the woman's voice and the chamber. Ali thought desperately. He purposely had not touched even one piece of treasure. No, not even the bent cog. In the darkness, he focused, startled to realize he did, in fact, cup something in his right hand. Slowly, he reached over with his left and ran his fingers across the sturdy anthers of the Arda blossom he had plucked from the bush outside the cavern. He tried to speak, and it was as if the desert itself once more filled his throat. The darkness took on more weight at his continued silence, but the voice did not speak again. Ali frantically coughed and cleared his throat. "A flower." His voice sounded harsh and grating to his ears. A gasp answered him. The longing in that single sound tightened his chest. Light once more flooded the chamber. Before him, the mist swirled in agitation. Following instinct, Ali crept forward, still on his knees, and laid the flower beside the pipes, the small anthers only slightly bent for having been clutched in his hand. When he looked up, a woman formed out of the swirling mist, perfect in all proportions, but no larger than a ferret, her body cloaked in smoky robes. The glass tube held a djinni.
Ew. All right. And then, of course, the chapter ends there and leaves us all hanging. So I am, I'm intrigued by this mention of the Book of Knowledge of Ingenious Mechanical Devices.
Yes.
Is this actually a thing that is in the book that is elaborated on?
It is. And are you familiar with it?
With the ingenious mechanical devices, or
The book. This is actually, there's a story here.
Okay.
I actually co-wrote Baba Ali and the Clockwork Djinn with Day Al Muhammad. And both of us love sprinkling in actual facts and details that just lend richness to the story that we're trying to tell. And when I originated the idea for the book, and when we sat down to start writing it, we both went and did different research for things that we could include. And there is actually an engineering book from the 13th century by Al-Jazari called The Book of Knowledge of Ingenious Mechanical Devices. And it's actually been reprinted fairly recently. It's a book that still exists. And it's similar to Da Vinci's, notebooks with just simple lines but they're actual working designs. And so it kind of gave validity to our setting a steampunk novel in the middle of the Arabian desert.
So now I super want to find that book, because I can only imagine if it is that old, it must be, some sort of public domain. I want to see an awesome version of the book within the book, like the meta book, right? Done to elaborate on all of these things. So that was actually a wonderful chapter, and thank you so much for reading that for us. So I do want to say to anybody out there watching, if you have questions or you have something that you would like to ask Danielle, please just put them into the chat. And I have a sneeze. It's right there in my nose. And I will be happy to pass them along so she can do that. Now, I'm curious, what do you think is the most difficult challenge that you have faced as a writer?
Finding time to write.
Finding time to write. Do you have a way that you manage it?
It's been hard ever since, for 5 years, I've been a publisher too. And a lot of times, between being a publisher and the day job, it can be difficult to eke out that time for myself. I tend to get invited to different collections. And so that's what, as the deadline goes flying past, my writing increases. I am both a morning person and an evening person. So I will wake up really early and I'll stay up really late and just, do what I can.
Do you have a daily word count that you try to achieve?
I don't. I am not one of those authors that feels I must write every day. It would be great. I would love to. But it's just not always practical. So I'm happy with whatever I get down. A few hundred words, a few thousand words. I don't let myself. It is so easy to get discouraged if you can't hit that count. And
Yes.
life, especially now, life just does not always facilitate accomplishing that. So I don't beat myself up. I get what I need to get done, and everything else I work on as I'm able to, because the stress, especially of the current situation, it makes it really hard to be creative. It'd be great to lose yourself in those worlds, but it's not always possible. And by trying to force it, you just frustrate yourself. So
do you have methods that? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
If I'm inspired, I can write all day. And if I'm not, I content myself with what I am able to accomplish. And yes, I do have ways of getting past that, if that was your next question.
The writer's block. What are your ways of defeating, of smashing through writer's block? I'm sure that one rock in the wall shouldn't be there.
I am one of those odd creatures that writes in a non-linear fashion. So I get ideas for particular scenes, and I will write that scene until I don't know where it's going anymore. And that will spark other ideas, and I will go write those scenes. And then I weave everything together as I'm going.
Go back and edit and cut and paste and trim and
pretty much. And so one of the things that I do if I'm having trouble getting back into my work in progress is I will go and I will start at the beginning, and I'll just start reading it and familiarizing myself with what I've already done, cleaning it up where I see it needs to be cleaned up, maybe adding a little bit more. And by the time I get into doing that, if I'm not able to write, I've accomplished something. But more often than not, the very act of reading through that again and cleaning it up will spark the next idea that I need to focus on.
And so how do you, if at all, how do you plot or keep track of intricate plot and character machinations within books? Because sometimes sometimes this, when you read a story, this character does this little thing over here, and then later on that little thing leads to a big reveal or a big plot twist or something to that effect. How do you keep track or plot these things out in advance, right? If the way that you write is to just write and then go back, that means that, I mean, that implies to me, so correct me if I'm wrong, that implies to me though that you don't think out the plot from beginning to end, right?
Correct.
So how do you get those little plot devices embedded that later on you're going to use for the plot twist or the big reveal?
So if I know that they're going to be there to begin with, if they're already in place, my method of going through and reading over reestablishes those in my mind. So when I'm writing, I have a much higher awareness of what's already been established or what needs to be done, because the story's constantly in my head. I'm not writing it and then moving on. It's all there. So if I end up writing something that needs reinforcing or changes something that I've already written, I pretty much know where I have to go back and fix it. And so I'll do that in my editing pass as I'm getting myself re-immersed into the world.
So you basically kind of, sorry, go ahead. Oh, sorry, I don't mean to cut you off.
It does get a little bit, it does get a little confusing at times. So once I have, like, say, a third to a half of the book written, and I have to make sure that I fill in all of the gaps, I will go through and I will, after the fact, create an outline of what's already there, and then do line items for the stuff that is missing that needs to be done.
But for the most part, you just kind of remember the crazy little plot twist that you want to put in there. And then when it comes time to get to that part, so you just remember them.
Well, see, not even, because if it's something I know that I need to write, I sit there and I write it. So I'll have all these little pieces that I then have to weave into a large piece. I don't make a list of what I have to do. If I'm inspired to do something, then I write that part. And then I just have to link it to what's already there.
Okay, that makes sense.
Non-linear pantsing.
Non-linear pantsing? Like as in the pants that you wear? Or
pantsing, plotters and plantsers and pantsers. Plotters are the ones that write outlines. Pantsers are the ones that just fly by the seat of their pants and write and write.
Non-linear pantsing.
And make sense out of it.
That reminds me of the very end of the Lorax, where the Lorax like lifted himself up by the seat of his own pants and flew away. So, okay, well, that actually makes really good sense. I like to hear other people's methods when I don't know, like how do they do it? How do they deal with that? What do you think is one of the biggest challenges of being a small press author as opposed to, the New York Times top 10 or whatever, top selling on Amazon this week, et cetera, et cetera? What are some of the big challenges you think are faced there?
It's always a matter of visibility. But you face that whether you're with a traditional house or you're with a small press or you're self-published. It's always going to be about visibility. And most beginning authors or even mid-list authors aren't getting a lot of attention from the traditional publishers. So they're really in the same boat as the small press author. They just have a set amount of time that they know they'll be on the bookshelf in the bookstore. But that's a limited amount of time. After that, it's all up to us to push and promote and just say, I'm here, look at this. So again, that's another thing that you have to juggle when, do I write or do I pimp?
I think that's very, very much like small businesses as well, right? They are everything. They are their own accounting and marketing and production and mailing departments all together. They just have to be wear all of the hats. But as previously determined by you on the last Handmade Home Shopping, you are a woman of many hats and you like it that way. If I recall our conversation correctly.
Fortunately, I look good in them.
Do you ever wear them all at once? Do you ever stack them up upon one another? So that
Sometimes I get really confused. What am I supposed to be doing right now? It's a juggle. It really is. But there's always going to be that point in your day when you have a few minutes, and as long as you don't let it become overwhelming, you can do it. You focus on what's priority at that moment and you do everything else as you're able.
I was going to ask a question related to oh yes. So given that visibility is one of the big things, so this kind of leads me to sort of a two-part question. One, what are ways that you would recommend to help other aspiring small press or indie authors to get their work seen? And two, what do you think is the best way to purchase from them? Because my understanding is that places like Amazon take an enormous cut out of purchases via their website, but then you're in this conundrum that Amazon has so much visibility, you feel like you have to be there to be seen at all. And then they're taking, an egregious amount from your work, right?
Definitely.
So those are the two questions, I guess. Like, first, what do you think are good ways to get out there, and then what do you think are the best ways for consumers to purchase from small press?
It's always helping us out more if you buy directly from us, because we get to keep more of it. But so then at the same time,
the actual websites.
Yeah. But not just websites, because this is the other part of that, the increasing visibility. I don't depend on Amazon and bookstores. I don't even try for bookstores, because that can lead to all kinds of problems with returns and stuff like that. I am on Amazon, and every book will always be available through Amazon and whatever third-party distribution I can get. But my primary focus is conventions.
Okay, so the live face-to-face.
Exactly, because they don't know me. They're not going to recognize me. They might be intrigued by my book, but if I can make a connection, if I can talk to someone and share with them the process of my creativity and the neat little, behind the scenes aspects of writing that book.
Like the book of knowledge of ingenious mechanics and devices. Like those little kernels, they're hidden inside.
Exactly. So if I can connect directly to my fan base, then one, not only have I, brought more income in for myself because I'm selling to them directly, but if you make a connection and they like your work, then that's an ongoing connection. They're going to tell people about you. They're going to look for your next book. They're going to look for you the next time they go to a convention. Conventions have panels where, you can talk about the different topics of writing and whatever surrounds the genre that you are a part of. And it also gives opportunities for author readings. and actually talking and connecting with the author directly. And people really, really appreciate that. And so I've slowly but steadily built my fan base by going to like 16 conventions a year. Now I am
That is
I
a
am
lot. That is more than one a month. And considering that con season tends to be condensed into just a few months, that sounds like multiple cons a month with a little short few months break.
pretty much. It can be tough, but I am the rare extroverted author.
Oh my gosh, how are you even managing right now, being stuck inside?
I'm essential personnel, so I actually have to go out into the world each week, if not every day.
I mean, it's still not quite the same though, going to work
It isn't.
versus going to hang out with your friends and just, like associate with them or whatever, like get together and have drinks or something. I don't know. So
It's a challenge. But in
wow.
the writing and the promoting, that benefits me because I will actually get a dealer's table at each convention, and the dealer's table mitigates the cost of actually being at the convention. So I
Oh,
sell my
because the
books,
books,
I
right.
create a fan base, and if I do well enough, I get paid for being there.
So the fan base, essentially you're selling the books, which is offsetting the cost, like the overhead of being there in the first place, but also you are seeding your fan base, which later on down the road will grow up in a pretty little garden.
Exactly.
So
And
yeah, go ahead.
since I started eSpec Books, we actually celebrated 5 years last October.
Hey, congratulations.
And thank you. A part of what made eSpec Books possible, we fund all of our new books through Kickstarter. And
Oh,
so
now how does that process work? Because that sounds like a good way to support small press authors without going
well,
through the world of Amazon or whatnot.
definitely. What that does for us is we have always been in the black, because if a project doesn't fund, we can't do it. And so we are bringing advance recognition of the project, getting it into people's hands right to begin with, building a following on Kickstarter. We keep modest goals so that we're not challenged, meaning we get our funding. We've done probably, well, I've done over 21 successful campaigns because I've done
Wow.
modest goals and built a following of people that follow from campaign to campaign. So we have a built-in fan base there. Then we have the built-in
Right.
fan base at conventions. So we can afford to do a slow build. We may not be
So
making masses of money, but we are, we're not going in the red. We don't use credit at all. All of our working capital comes from book sales and from Kickstarter.
and so do you
So
have what is your Kickstarter? I'm just going to see if I can find it really fast. What is because you must have a Kickstarter account, like a
I
professional
do.
account and what is that?
One
Because
is Danielle
people can follow those,
Ackley-McPhail.
right? Okay, so
Mm-hmm.
Kickstarter, and the other is?
And the other one is eSpec Books.
Okay, I'm going to see if I can find this, because people should be able to actually just follow.
Mm-hmm. You can find them by searching for Baba Ali and the Clockwork Djinn, will get you to eSpec Books, and Ginger Kick will get you to Danielle Ackley-McPhail.
I think I am, let's see, created by eSpec Books. How can I follow this creator? That's what I'm trying to figure out, how I can do that. Let's see. First, I should not have my script blocker block things on Kickstarter. Here we go. Okay, so this looks like it right here. And I'm going to actually put this, I'm going to rip this link here and put it into the scroll bar for you. I think this is it. I just want to test it. Yeah, so this is cool because if people go to your Kickstarter, which I'm now looking at eSpec books here, and I can just click the follow button right at the top, and then that allows me to see all of the projects that your publishing company is putting out. And that's absolutely brilliant. That is completely brilliant. Yes, I am going to just add that.
And when we have a particularly successful campaign, we obviously come up with more funding than we need to actually do the project.
Right.
So what we do is whatever is left is split between half of it goes to eSpec Books and the rest is divided among how many authors are involved in the campaign.
That is awesome. And you have a new follower. I too have a Kickstarter account because Kickstarter was how I actually published my children's book that I have. And so I have gone and given you a follow so now you have at least one new. Yes. No, now I'm kind of excited. I love Kickstarter and I love supporting people on Kickstarter. So I try to kick into all the things, not all the things that I see, but a lot of the things I see. And I'm kind of a sucker for books. I'm sure that comes as a huge surprise to nobody. So someone in the audience is saying, Philippe is saying that he'd like to read The Clockwork Witch and wants to know what that's about. Can you elaborate on that one at all?
That is a steampunk novel by Michel D. Saunier. And it is a world where magic and technology are not compatible with each other generally. So you have the artificers who are trying to establish technology and the witches who have been kind of not in control of society, but they hold power in society. And
sort of like the Bene Gesserit
character.
There's my Dune reference. Sorry.
The main character that you see on the book is supposed to be a child of prophecy, but she shows absolutely no magical talent whatsoever until she is at an artificer's reveal of a new technology that he's doing, and she discovers that she can see the technology the same way that her sisters see magic. And
that's interesting. Oops.
She realizes she is the first ever technomancer.
That is fascinating for sure. There are a bunch of books actually on your page that I want to read. So, I mean, I already have your 2 fairy books, although the Red Cap's Queen is in the snail mail on its way to me. But I've had the Halfling's Court for years because we met so many years ago. I am one of those little seedlings, I guess, of your fan base because we met so many years ago at that FairyCon East, I think, in Baltimore. Yes. And this was the book of yours that I got there. And then I discovered that you had a second one, and now I'm super excited. And I love Urban Fairy. So
the second one is actually my favorite too. So I'm really hoping you enjoy it. It's Biker Fairies meets roller derby.
Well, I gathered that from the roller derby chick that was on the cover. I mean, since the first one, gosh darn it, I keep hitting the back button too many times. I keep hitting. I like the biker thing because I have a great many friends who wheel and deal in those circles. So I just find all of that flavor of Urban Fairy awesome. But yours is not the only Urban Fairy book I've ever read. In fact, not the only Urban Small Fairy, small press book I've ever read. So, yeah. So anyway, I'm looking forward to getting that, and
right
looking
there
for.
I just.
This one right here, the red cap
top, if you go back up to the top, Baba Ali is in the middle.
And this is the one that you read an excerpt to us from.
Yes.
I like this mosaic looking cover.
Thank you. I actually, that is my first art credit.
Oh, you did this. You did your own art. You did your own publishing. You did your own writing. You're definitely many hats.
We wanted something different. The original cover was actually a watercolor, and it was gorgeous, but the original publisher owned, was the one that paid for that.
Mm-hmm.
So when we approached the artist to reuse it, she wanted an astronomical price for a reprint, and we wouldn't have been able to change it. And she originally did not give the characters the right skin tone, so we weren't going to pay an astronomical
for being in the Middle
amount.
East.
Yeah.
Oh dear. Oh boy.
So we had to come up with new artwork, and the first one had been so striking because it was a watercolor cover, which is unusual. And so we wanted something else that was going to stand out as different. And since it is Middle Eastern, a lot of their artwork is mosaic.
Yes, I was going to say it's actually super reminiscent. If you've ever seen, looked at cathedrals and caves, and I mean, I guess they don't call them cathedrals, mosques and caves, and other such things in the Middle East. Are a lot of mosaic going on there. So I think you did well by your cover.
Thank you.
So before we go, because we're kind of nearing the end here, it's 1:53, so we have 7 minutes. I know. One of the things that you said you were going to do was have an ebook giveaway.
Yeah.
Yes. So I would like to invite anybody who is watching right now in the audience to type your name into the chat. And if you type your name into the chat at this point, I will enter you on to the wheel of names that spins, and it tells us who will wins. Yes. So type your name into the chat. I will put you on the wheel, and then I will do a live drawing. And are there several ebooks that the winner can choose from?
I was going to do Baba Ali, but you know what? It can be any of mine, because
any of yours. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And then the one other thing, I'm just going to leave a little bit of time for people to comment because people are in and out. So the last thing was for our Patreon members, who are all automatically included in this drawing. For our Patreon members, you also have a bonus gift for them. And would you like to elaborate on what that is?
Yes. So I love illustrated books. And since I fund through Kickstarter, I always, as my stretch goals, include artwork as some of the goals that we can arrive at. And for Baba Ali, we unlocked, I think, 6 pieces of art. And we worked with a fantastic artist named Ed Coots. And pretty much, I think about 4 or 5 of my books have been illustrated by him. He did a phenomenal job, but there was just one image that it's supposed to be a mechanical hawk. And it's significant to the story. And unfortunately, we tried to redo this image at least 3 times, and the hawk kept looking like a buzzard.
A buzzard.
And he finished it, and it's fantastic art. It's just, I know it's supposed to look like a hawk. So we didn't include it in the book.
I mean, hawks and buzzards are pretty different looking. So, I mean,
yeah.
Yes, so I'll just say one more time, enter your name into the comments if you want to be entered right now to have live drawing for an ebook. I am about to spin for the winner, and I have had a sneak preview of this piece of art, and whether or not it is hawk or buzzard, I thought it was amazing. I thought it was an awesome illustration. So I was very impressed.
It is. He does a fantastic job. It was great art. It just wasn't accurate art.
And that would have just been right there in your brain.
Yeah.
getting away. Okay. So I think we have everybody.
And just to
here.
remind you, it's 5 ebooks.
Oh, they get
5 people. 5 people can each win an ebook.
Oh, you want me to draw 5 different names? Is that what you're saying? I can do that, and each one of them will get an ebook. I can do that. Okay. One last time, if you would like to be entered to win, type your name in the comments, and I'm putting it onto the wheel right now. You have 5, 4, 3.
And these 2. Are for books that I have written, not that I published.
Yes. Okay. So here we go. I am going to get our list in there with all of Yana peoples.
When we select the winners, I'll need to know their email and what format they need. It's available in EPUB, Mobi, and PDF.
Yes. So the winners are directed to send me their information via email, and I will get to that in just a minute. But I guess for the moment, we're about to have 5 drawings. I see people kind of coming in and going out. If you want to be entered to win right now, type your name in the comments, and I will put you on the wheel. I'm about to spin it. I know. Like, I keep seeing people like come in and go out and come in and go out. And I'm like, if you want your chance to win an ebook right now, we're drawing 5 winners. So now is the time. But sometimes there is lag, so I feel like I have to say it and then wait a second to give everybody a chance to put their name in. Can you hear that outside? Like there's
a cat?
That is not a cat, actually. That is something on the far side of my window that is behind this thing. So let's see here. Okay, Philippe, I've got you. I'm going to add you to the list. And the good thing about this, too, is that people can be located anywhere in the world because it's an ebook. So you can, I know, so you can send anywhere.
And no COVID germs.
And no COVID germs. That is correct. Although I will say that being somebody who goes out and does food fairy deliveries for people and the grocery shopping via grocery shopping, we wipe down everything. And I have my box of gloves and my masks and all of the things. And I am super paranoid about going out, wiping down my shopping carts and the order of events with wiping down the handles on the Land Dragon before I get in and, offload groceries or whatever. It's a thing. So
I work at an urgent care.
Boy, you guys are probably even more paranoid than I am because you actually get the sick people and see that they're sick. Like I try to be so careful just because I don't know though, like at the grocery store, everybody touches everything. And so, so you can't, it's really, really easy to just forget and just think that you're the person that grabbed the thing and therefore you're the only one who touched it. But shop people have to turn a can around sometimes to see the label, or they have to pull it forward from the back. You never know who touched the thing last, and you don't know what store employee was doing what before they put it out there. Or
can I do a PSA real quick?
Yeah, you can. Go ahead.
Okay. So for everybody listening, if you are sick and you need to go to an urgent care, call them first. Because a lot of them are screening people over the phone and checking them in over the phone to reduce your risk of being exposed. People come in just as they go in the back to see the doctor. They don't sit in the lobby. So if you can call your urgent care, then you're going to be able to be seen and reduce your risks.
Thank you so much. All right. That has been your COVID PSA for the afternoon. We are ready. Okay, here we go. drawing number 1. Oh, whoops. Let me get my share screen up so we can see the wheel spin. I'm always very excited to watch the wheel spin. I don't know. It's a thing. It has grown on me over time. I started using it a couple of years ago to do drawings, and it just, the clickety clickety noise that it makes, I don't know. It pleases some part of my brain. So every time I get all excited, like, let's watch it spin. Here we go. I don't even know if you guys can hear the clickety clack noise, or if that's a thing that only I can hear. This is for, yeah, well, now it's about to get loud because there's also a very annoying horn and crowd cheering every time. So that part, I'm like, oh, I don't know. Okay, so here we go. This is for winner number 1. I'm so excited. Okay, so the audience can hear it too. That's a thank you, Philippe. I actually did not know that, and I do hope that I am pronouncing your name correctly. Oh my gosh! Hurry up, wheel! Hurry up! You're killing me. Like, sometimes it seems like it goes really fast, and then sometimes it seems like it just goes and goes.
You need a little button that lets you control how long it goes around.
Yeah, Elizabeth Hunt. Congratulations.
Yay!
Yes, I actually think that they will be super excited. They have been with us for a very long time. Okay, yeah, so actually, if I just hit it again while it's doing that, it will just basically restart and kind of do it again. So we will take Elizabeth off the list and go again. Congratulations, that is number 1. And we're gonna have a total of 5 winners today for an ebook of your choice by Danielle Ackley-McPhail. Your name rhymes, I just realized that. See, now doesn't this one seem like it just went so much faster?
Yes.
Right? Joshua Donovan, congratulations, you are winner number 2. Okay.
Maybe it just needed to get up to speed.
Oh, okay. We are going for winner number 3 for an ebook. And I will say, I do see people out there watching. And if you want to be in on this, just type your name in the comments, because we still have 2 more winners to pick after this spin. And I am happy to add your name onto the wheel if you haven't already yet been added. So if you're just now joining us, type your name in the comments, and we have 2 more drawings to go. This is for an ebook that will be emailed to you, not snail mailed, germ conscious and all of that, from our author today. And then also, if you join our Patreon, you will get to see the unseen illustration from her most recent Steampunk Faerie novel. So super excited about that. Oh my gosh, and this one is taking forever, right? I feel like I'm imagining it, but I don't think I am. I'm not. Okay. Whew. Mary Ryan. Congratulations, Mary. Okay. Here's my mouse. Hello, mouse. Do we have anybody put their names? So here we go. Wheel of Names, a spin, 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 and tell us who's about to win. This is winner number 4. We have 1 more winner to draw after this. Oh, Philippe, you are so nice congratulating everybody. Oh, I really appreciate your sportsmanship, actually. I think it's quite kind. Go, oh. I'm like, uh-oh, is it going to be on the line? Jimmy Chastain. Okay. And this is our last. This is so generous of you to do this too. This is our last one. I still have time. I can edit the wheel to add in a name if you are out there and you haven't been added to the wheel yet and you would like a chance to win an ebook. I'm going to give you a countdown. And if I don't see any more names, I will do the very last spin in 3, 2, 1. Okay, here we go. Gonna spin.
Mesmerizing.
I know. Well, you know, I have a wheel like this that I used at festival for a while, where people could come in and spin it and get a particular Faerie prize from Morning Glory. Hey, congratulations. I think that she will like that. All right, that is our 5th winner for the afternoon. So thank you so much. I have written everybody's names down so I can remember them. Thank you so much for joining us, Danielle. Oops, I did not mean to do that. Did I just I totally made myself, I meant to hit the button where both of us are big, not just me. So sorry about that. Yes. So just one more time for everybody at home. This is author Danielle Ackley-McPhail, and you can see her books and the books of the authors for which she also publishes down below. Please give them a look. Looks like there's a lot of good stuff that's on there. So thank you so much for joining us this afternoon, and I look forward to informing a bunch of winners, actually. So I think I have the contact information for all of these winners. So I look forward to giving everybody a little bit of a bright day from the both of us, really. So thank you for making everybody's day brighter, because basically that's because you. All right.
And I'll see you on Sunday.
Yes, on Sunday, indeed, for the handmade home shopping. And what actually are you going to be doing there? The horns? Is that what you're going to? I don't want to spoil it too much, but handmade horns, is that what it is?
The Horny Lady custom costume horns.
That is a mouthful. So, okay. All right. Have a good afternoon, and we will see you on Sunday.
Thank you. Bye, everybody.